Fabulous offensive execution, red-hot three-point shooting puts the Jazz in a position until they turn it over a lot, and then the Bucks run away. Jazz and the Bucks finished up here in Milwaukee. We're doing postcast next.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
David Locke along with Ron Boone after the Bucks blow the Jazz out in the third and fourth quarters, 123-100, ending their six-game losing streak. Jazz go to 1-7, Bucks go to 2-6. On the season, there's two sides to this story tonight. The two bugaboos that are Jazz bugaboos came back to bite them, and I'm sure Will Hardy's going to be talking about it. And then there's some great areas where we saw the Jazz continue to grow. Let's start with the growth. The growth was obvious in the first half. They take 28 three-pointers. They make 14 of them. 13th time in franchise history they've done that. This is for a team that came in shooting 31% from three on the season, 29th in the league. The number to me that's important there is 28. What were they doing to get the looks, getting the threes? I mean, go back to the first and second game of the year. You know, Will Hardy literally had to say to these guys, like, you're not getting 40 open threes. You got to squeeze some off. They weren't squeezing those off. Those were just good looks they were getting easily.
Good looks because of ball movement, pushing the basketball up the floor, and the Bucks just couldn't handle the ball movement. I thought by the Jazz. Now there was pressure defense that really got them in trouble and gave the Jazz a chance to knock down threes. And then a couple of guys get hot, like Johnny comes in and knocks down three-point field goals, two very quickly, and then one in the second quarter. That kind of helped the Jazz along there with their three-point shooting.
So they came out in this ball game. Took 16 of their first 21 shots as threes, which was kind of crazy. They turned it over 5 times. They turned over 8 times in the first half, which feels like it's kind of an okay number. They did get that spark off the bench from Johnny Juzang. They got it from Jordan Clarkson, who hit some threes as well after missing his first 3, then made his next 3. I didn't think Lauri ever looked right tonight. I thought his back looked like it was still bothering him, that he was gaming it and fighting it, but I never thought he looked comfortable, and I never thought he looked like he was moving well. Yeah,
and you could tell that, David, because of the pressure defense that the Bucks was putting on the Jazz out on the perimeter, that he just wasn't moving well. I mean, because usually he would have attacked something like that. He'll get to the free throw line to the point where he can take advantage of switches and that type of thing, and he just didn't look as normal as he has or he can be.
The one thing I really liked about the first half of this game from the Jazz, Ron, is early on they looked super stagnant. They were getting stuck up on stuff. Doc Rivers had made a substitution. They had been starting Gary Trent and Dame Lillard, who left them with 2 just terrible defensive players on the floor, and he clearly made a move away from that, which to his credit I think looked much better. Jackson meant that there just weren't places to attack other than Lillard, and they were hiding Lillard on Cody Williams. And so it really felt as though the Jazz, like early, it could get super ugly. They just didn't, and yet they worked through that in a way that this team that's a sign of growth to me, because they didn't work through things earlier in the first few games of the year.
It wasn't until I thought, until Hardy made the substitution. And then the guys came in and showed the starters, how to attack the pressure defense that was put on them by the Milwaukee Bucks. And when you get hot, it makes your offense and your ball movement look much better than what it actually is. But they got hot shooting the three-point shot, and it made the offense start to flow.
We opened the broadcast talking about the handoff game, the off-ball screen game that they had really implemented in Denver and particularly in Chicago. What did you see in that regard tonight?
Well, that's always going to be good if they do that and get the defense scrambling. But I think the most important part of that is how quickly they get into it and how quickly they can push the ball ahead and not dribble the ball up the floor. Now, you can play fast by dribbling the ball up the floor, passing it, that type of thing. But when you push the basketball ahead of the defense, now you're going to get mismatches because you got to pick up someone that's not in your area, and the ball movement, you can get them scrambling, and you can knock down some good shots.
All right, now let's go to the unfortunate things that took place tonight. And that is that the Milwaukee Bucks were 30th in the NBA in forcing turnovers. Now, in some extent, you may be facing a team early in the year where they just came out of a practice and where the head coach was like, we're 30th in the league in forcing turnovers. You better go force some turnovers, right? Like, let's understand we're early in the season. So when you have some of these funky numbers, that may be the only thing they worked on in practice that day. But the Jazz committed 22 turnovers tonight, which was about 24% of their possessions.
They averaged 19.
So they were above their average against the worst team in the NBA at forcing turnovers. Like if there's ever a night where we should have been at 13 or 14, or even if you're going to be the other night, the 29th team in the league in forcing turnovers is the Bulls at 11%. We were at 13%. Okay, we were worse than the average team against them, but this was ridiculous tonight. I think the final number tonight on the Jazz in turnovers is that they turned it over. I do not have the final number because I closed it, but they turned it over 22 times. But just to put it in comparison, that means that they turned it over 21% of their possessions tonight. Like that's the Jazz are 30th in the NBA taking care of the ball at 19%. 21% of your possessions. One every 5 possessions, you're not getting a shot off. It also, we'll get to what it also leads to, but on a night where you were pretty good offensively, then all of a sudden you turn it over 20%. And I'm guessing the second half rate was about 25 to 30%. And the thing that jumps out to me is who the turnovers are, Ron. Like one, Will's talking about, it's everyone. Yes. Cody 1, Lauri 2, Walker 2, Collin 3, Keyonte 2, John Collins 4, Jordan Clarkson 4. Those last 2, though, that's got to stop. John Collins and Jordan Clarkson are the veterans on this team. They're trying to do too much with the basketball. They've got to stop turning the ball over.
Yeah, and the turnovers are different, though. John Collins' turnovers are usually in the paint, getting stripped, that type of thing. Whereas Clarkson's turnovers sometimes are unforced, bad pass. And obviously
and I feel for both of them in this sense. You look at the roster, you look out of who you're on the floor with, and you think to yourself, I've got to score. And I think the one common thread of those turnovers, they're always when they're trying to score more than they should have passed.
Yes.
John Collins has gotten into the lane. There's 3 guys on him. Get rid of it a second earlier. Jordan Clarkson's dancing out top because he looks around and thinks he has to get off it. Let one of the guys who took those 28 threes, when you move the ball in the first half, get another chance to shoot threes.
And John Collins is still, when you get in the paint and there's people around you, the best time to get an open 3 is to what? Pass it out of that. That's probably what he needs to do a little bit more.
And that's how John gets him a lot of the times as well. Now, the other side of this is the real problem with these turnovers is the type of turnovers they are. This 13 steals tonight. So on the 22 turnovers, Jazz had 13 of them are live ball turnovers, which means that Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks, who came in this game struggling a little bit offensively, 20th in the league offensively, not offensive rebounding at all if you can keep in half court. The Jazz, whose half court defense is really good. It's 14th in the NBA in half court defense. However, they are allowing the most obscene amount of possessions in transition, and it only got worse tonight. 33% of the Bucks, unofficially, 33% of the Bucks possessions were in transition. And you have zero chance to win a basketball game.
And that's what we discussed before the ball game. We were very concerned with that. We were wondering how many of Giannis's points was going to come in transition. He knew that he attempted 88 points in the 88 shots in the paint. He had made 63 of those. Great percentage. And I'm sure he had just a greater night tonight in the paint there as well.
Yeah, I don't know what Will Hardy's talking about at the press conference, but if he's not, I will be stunned if those are not the 2 headliners of area of improvement he needs. He saw, I think, the growth that he wants to see in the first half, and he really saw regression in the second half. And that might be a pretty good team that's desperate for a win picked it up. Let's, realize the other guys are good too. And the guy named Giannis has, been in the Final 4 of MVP voting for 5 straight years.
So the veterans, I'm sorry, Milwaukee has a veteran team. The Jazz have a very young basketball team, and the veterans won tonight.
Yeah,
that's
sure. I mean, and they'll win almost every night. Frankly, that's what veterans do. All right, reliability pluses tonight.
Boy, if we go by the first half, there's a few to be given.
All right, and we can do that. The starters, just Walker, Kessler, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 3 block shots, 24 minutes dealing with Giannis tonight. Does he get was that like, let me make sure those are new to the show. The reliability square plus is that you played a game on par to your regular game, maybe even a little above it, but just kind of with a high level consistency where the head coach is like, I put you out here. You gave me what I expected to get out of you. You don't have to be exceptional. You have to be reliable.
Yeah. I'm going with Kessler. I like Johnny and
yeah. I don't have I don't have Johnny Juzang 16 minutes. He hit the 3 threes. The 2 fouls on Dame though for 6 free throws is enough to take a reliability square out. Just to clarify, Johnny Juzang fouled Dame twice. He's trying. He's doing the best he can on that. I'm going to give one more reliability square tonight.
Johnny, Colin Sexton?
Nope.
No.
Patty Mills.
Patty Mills.
Just because I actually think we probably should be giving him reliability plus every night in the sense that he's doing exactly what he gave them exactly what he wanted tonight. 16 minutes, great energy, great effort, trying. At some point, Collier's going to take those minutes. And so I'll go Walker, Kessler, Johnny Juzang, Patty Mills for the pluses tonight.
Sounds good.
Lacey had plans tonight, so someone better relay that to Lacey.
Did you see Lacey's schedule? Where it's at? It's mixed in with all her wall
I did.
pictures.
Yes, I did. Yes.
With a frame
Yes, because we talked about this on the squad show.
Yes,
Yes, because Ron, if you don't know this, Ron laminates a schedule and gives it to all of us at the beginning of every season. It's a tradition, and we all love it, actually. And I don't know why we're like joking about it, because we all are waiting for it, but it's definitely part of Ron's tradition that he brings that to us.
But Lacey took it to another level. She has it framed.
In the middle of art. And she's an art teacher.
Yeah.
Jazz fall to the Bucks. We'll talk to you from San Antonio. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.